Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video in the dark as always. Um, I think I'll call this a therapy session, but I don't really want to talk about necessarily anything going on with me, but it's more so just sounding off like I always do, just to keep the therapy session series going. Um, I think, well, the first thing I had on my mind is not the first thing I want to say. The first thing I want to say is, wow, what a blessed day that I had. With my investments. And now, I've talked to you guys a lot about my investments and how much it's put me through hell trying to hold my shares of AMC and trying to, you know, get in early on Doggelon Mars, which is a new cryptocurrency. It's not all that new. I've been in it since October, but it's still very early stages, and I don't think I could have been more pleased with how the day went. And for me, it's like when you're in AMC, you understand that there's no amount of money that you actually have. You understand what I'm saying? Because we've seen, if you have it in AMC, you've seen it fluctuate so much over the last year. Too, if somebody asks you what your portfolio is worth, you really don't have an answer for them. Like that's how many different various prices I've seen that thing at. Because you know what you're dealing with AMC. You're dealing with price corruption, stock market corruption at its worst. So to have a day like this where the thing climbs up 44%. Y'all know I'm BDF 44, so that felt really good. But 44% on the day, I think it's the third best day that we've had since being a part of this myself personally, since last January. I'd say this is the third best day, maybe the third or fourth best day, but I'm pretty solid on saying third best day we've had. And that's really good. And then you look at Doggelon Mars, and that thing was up 50% at the same time. Two separate investments that I got into for two very different reasons, two very different prices in terms of how much I have invested, but those are the two that I'm really all in on. And they both did some extremely good things on the same day. But like I said, I didn't sell anything, so I didn't lock in any profits. For all I know, they could give those gains back. But the point is you're happy to have had a day like today. So that's the first thing I want to say. Get that out the way. I didn't want to make the video about that necessarily. Just simply because I'm of the mindset that you don't get too high on days like today, and you don't get too low on days when it's really bloody. Because I've had some very bad bloody days with the stuff that I've been a part of over the years. So I've learned not to allow yourself to get too high on a day like today, unless you're exiting your position and you want to lock those gains. But being that I didn't do that, we're just gonna enjoy the smiles that the day comes with. But that's really all it is. And hopeful for the progress of continued motions toward the moon and Mars, respectively. So we'll roll with that. Next thing I want to say is a different topic entirely, nothing to do with no damn money. I'm listening, of course, to everybody talking about the Will Smith and Chris Rock thing, and I've made 2 videos on it. I guess the new thought that's come to mind is just listening to all the different people support whatever party, if they support the parties at all, or maybe they just condemn the entire look, whatever. But for those who have something to say about who they support and choosing sides, what I'm noticing is people choosing sides to reflect their own perspectives if that situation were personalized for themselves. And maybe that's just a natural human thing. I think people do that all the time. I support this person because my experiences tell me that this such and such is best for me. That's just how humans are. That's not a revelation of any kind. But I think for me, it's just recognizing it specifically with this case. Listening to people like Stephen A. Smith and various comedians come out to with different points condemning what Will Smith did and attaching themselves to the idea of him being wrong for what seems like reasons to me of essentially saying, like, I'm gonna say what comes out of my mouth, and I'm not gonna support Will Smith slapping the heck out of Chris Rock, because that's essentially saying next time I offend somebody, someone could come up and slap fire out of me. And I'm just listening to all these talking heads kind of latch themselves to Chris Rock's position by default, just off of that sheer notion. And then, on the opposite end of it, you see people who, have been through some certain situations in their relationships, or who have personalized this Will's pain, had people make fun of their wives in public and things of that nature, and have had to react to those situations, maybe wish they would have reacted to it differently. Various people who were attached to Will Smith's point of view because of their own experiences, right? But I look at it like this: as a person who does speak into this camera, you know what I'm saying, who tries his best to be respectful, but will still say things that if I had to see the person in person, I would have to take back the energy that comes with what I say. I'm not going to sit here and personalize it as to say that I just think Will Smith was all the way wrong because dare somebody hold somebody else accountable for what comes out of their mouth, or dare somebody lash out at somebody for being offended at something that comes out of their mouth. No. Sorry, talking heads. Sorry, me. But when you pop fly out of your mouth, you are not safe. You can't just say anything you want to say. You can't just talk bad about somebody's wife. You just can't run your mouth and think that it's not going to garner any responsibility, any response from someone. You need to be responsible with your words and take what comes with that. And how you govern that in your head from person to person, I can't speak to you, but for me, I stay humble in my prayers. You know what I mean? That's where it starts for myself. And that's what gives me the strength to be able to say, I don't think Chris Rock deserved to be hit in the face. But I think that anybody who pops out of their mouth insensitive words better be prepared to get hit in the face. I'll say that. I'm not saying it's right at all. I don't think Will Smith was right at all. But that doesn't mean that it's even time to look at Will Smith. Will Smith ain't the one getting hit. It's Chris Rock. And why is Chris Rock getting hit? Because he allowed those writers to put a joke in his mouth that he should have fought back in saying. And that's what the real conversation should be, I think, going forward. This is who the hell wrote that joke? Because from what I understand, it wasn't Chris Rock. And if Will Smith knew that, then Will Smith is really in the wrong for slapping that man when you know damn well he didn't write that joke. So I think that's why it spoke to more so them having another type of issue or it being staged. It's one of those two if you're asking me to be a conspiracy theorist, because at the end of the day, when you get on stage in 2022, now mind you, it's all about the year in this conversation, because if this was in the barbarian days, if this was a whole different era, this is talked about differently. But because we're in 2022, this is a sophisticated event, all of that, you just don't want anyone to ruin the night. And that's kind of along the lines, I think anybody who's not personalizing it should look at it. You just hate the fact that the night was ruined, or that a distraction was created, or that however you view this, you just hate that it played out as it did. So for me, it's just like, I just want to get up here and say that as well. You can run your mouth, but I'm not going to condemn somebody who slaps one of y'all in the face. I'm not going to do that. Now, you have every right to defend yourself. I think in Chris Rock's case, he was kind of kind of had his hands tied behind his back because of the obvious circumstances he was in. If he jumps off of that stage and it beats Will Smith up or whatever, obviously neither one of them will ever be welcomed back to the Oscars, let alone asked to host them. And that is a deal that you only get once in a lifetime. Not everybody gets that opportunity. So for Chris Rock to throw it all away because Will Smith had a moment where he wasn't in control of his emotions, that's short-sighted. And if Chris Rock was that type of person, he would have never gotten as far as he got. So I'm not one of those people that says I think Chris Rock should have kicked him in the back as he walked away from him. I think Will Smith did more damage to himself, and those who are smart enough to keep their poise in that situation do so. When a person has when a person has an intentions on hanging themselves, you just allow them to do so. You do not get in their way. And that's how you have to play that if you're Chris Rock. That's how you have to look at it in real time. Yes, Will Smith put his hand on you, but what Will Smith did was make himself look a certain way, and now everybody in the room thinks Will Smith is crazy. You understand what I'm saying? They're all consoling Will Smith, not because his hand got hurt when he slapped that man's face. It's because we all understand that Will Smith was going through something, and Will Smith in his right mind would have never allowed himself to be unhinged in that way, assuming this isn't staged. So it's one of those situations where it's just like, man, no, Chris Rock was right. He handled it the way he's supposed to. Anything else other than that would have ruined the situations for him. You do not let somebody else's lack of emotional control, ruin your circumstances. It's just like the gnat analogy that my mother used to give me. You will slap yourself and tear up your entire house swinging at a gnat and will miss it every time because it's too fast for you. The best thing you can do is wait for that gnat to sit down, relax, and then maybe you can get it. Maybe you can catch it. Maybe you can smash it. If whatever you planned on doing, you'll be able to do it when you're not swinging and slapping yourself all in the head in the name of trying to get to it. That would be what the equivalent of Chris Rock jumping on Will Smith is like. He's suddenly tearing up his old house, trying to slap at a gnat that is Will Smith's emotions. You know what I mean? And so that's how you have to look at that if the situation was authentic. If you're Chris Rock, in that moment you cannot throw away your Oscars gig. You can't do that. Not to mention that you probably have some clauses that will, cost you quite a bit if you break those clauses within your contract. So these are professionals. Like I said, you don't get this far if you ever allow yourself to be unhinged by a moment like that. And that's what I have to say about this particular situation. So yeah, man, Stephen A. Smith, people like that, Shay, they really laid into Will Smith. And I just understand why. It's because they don't want nobody popping them in the face or trying to attack them for stuff that otherwise would make people want to attack them when they say them in the streets to these people. You see, that's the thing. It's like we want to get on TV and make a name for ourselves by throwing other people's name under the bus and by ripping other people apart and critiquing their professionalism or however you view what it is that we do. But then we don't want to live with the consequences of it. But the first time somebody pop fly about us, now it's like, oh, we gotta get back at them. Now we have to respond. Now our ego can't take it, but we ask other people's egos to take it every day when we run our mouths. And I never exclude myself because I'm definitely a part of that, although I try to practice myself in such a way that doesn't reflect poorly on my character. But at the same time, it's like, it seems like that's the game you have to play to garner attention. You know what I mean? To get the type of views that these guys have, you got to basically sell your soul. And I just don't think that the attention of the masses is worth, to me, having to look over my shoulder and wonder if somebody going to slap me in the head. I'll say that much. I'm just not going to just be disrespectful to human beings just to get you to listen to me. I just don't. I don't love it that much, and I don't think that that's a good way to reflect the respect that I have for myself, quite honestly. So, No, I won't be doing that. No, I won't be doing that. I will use my voice as honestly as possible. And if I do find myself disrespectful and I see somebody in the street, I'll tell them what I felt in terms of my intentions of not being disrespectful if I had those. But to say they have no right to react, that's just silly, man. That's just silly. And it's naive. Naive is to think that you can actually stop somebody from doing something to you other than to not run your mouth. That's the way you stop it. If anybody wants to know, how do you keep a guy like Will Smith from slapping you in the face? You don't disrespect his wife. You don't fight for the right to be able to disrespect his wife, like a lot of y'all are essentially doing. And I know that's what it is. Y'all want the right to run your mouth and disrespect people, and then you want the masses to respect not only what it is that you're doing, but to protect you when somebody decides to snap on you. It's cowardice. You gonna run your mouth, be ready for that slap. Period. I don't care if you believe it's right or wrong. Just know it's coming. That's the best way to live your life if you're one of those type of people. If you're one of us. We run our mouth. We run our mouths, and it is what it is. So I just want to put that out there for once and for all. I think it was something else I wanted to say since this is a therapy session. I'm sure there was something else. But honestly, I just don't know what it is. Oh, of course. Tomorrow or today. It might already be today. March 30th is a very important day for myself and my family because in March 30th, 2016, my mother passed away of cancer. Now, mind you, I went 17 minutes in a therapy session without mentioning this because I am really fine. Like in terms of this day approaching, I've been praying and thinking about my mom all month long. Right? Ever since March first started, I've made it a point every day to reflect upon my mother in prayer, think about her and honor her in my own way. And every day this month, I've had something to distract me from this day coming up. And it's been a lot of good stuff that has distracted me. It hasn't been things that would otherwise make me sad. It's been stuff that have either made me stronger or have just kept me, occupied so that I'm not sad about the situation. And now that we're here, like I said, I'm coming off of one of the most productive days for what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, maybe ever, right before this happens, right before this day occurs. So I feel like the universe / God of whom I believe in has been shining a great deal of light on me all month long. And since this day falls at the end of the month, I don't really have a whole lot to be sad about. And I don't have a whole lot to reflect on in regards to my mom other than the normal stuff that I've been reflecting on every day all month. What can I say, man? It's been 7 years. And in those 7 years, it's been 7 of the toughest years of my life, without mom. But as I felt the day she passed, I still feel a great deal of peace and relief that she is no longer suffering, because it got to a point where it was so bad that it got to where quality of life was not preservable in my eyes. That's how bad it got. So there was no no struggling with her in terms of letting her go. That I never had to fight with that. I really didn't. It was hope for 7 long years. Mind you, that's how long it's been. That's also how long she fought. I think she might have fought for even longer, but I remember it to be like 7 years of cancer fighting. And, just dealing with that and praying through that and living through that. And then when we finally got to a point where we had to say goodbye, it was so strange because my sentiment was like, you think on days like the last day you spend with your mom, if you envision it in any way, you think of it as horror. It's the worst thing in the world. Oh my God, you got to say goodbye. But that wasn't how that actually was. The way that actually was I remember sitting At the end of the day, after I had seen my mom for the last time, didn't know it was gonna be the last time, but the initial last time was 2 days before she passed. I remember sitting outside on the porch with my friend T, smoking a blunt, and I remember telling my friend, I would rather my mom go on home than to see her spend another night like I just saw right now. You know what I mean? And it was that bad, without painting a picture for how much pain and how much suffering I had seen. It wasn't even sadness I was feeling. It was just like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. That was the vibe. All emotion removed, all myself removed. It was just sitting there looking at somebody going through it, knowing that they did everything they could for you throughout life, and then to see them just, you know what I mean, just be in a space where there was no more, it was nothing really to feel but physical pain. Like, that was all that was left. I just didn't want that for her no more. I was absolutely at peace. So very much at peace. So when I got the phone call with no cries, it was just like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, literally, all right. Got the phone call like 3 a.m, and I just handled it. You know what I mean? So, the pain of losing your parent for me just didn't reverberate for like 5 years. You know what I mean? It hit me harder than most. I didn't deal with it properly, and et cetera, et cetera. But what I can say is, after 7 years of going through it, I think I'm fine now. It took a long time to get to this point, but I think I'm good now. And so that's what it is, man. Just dealing with that, obviously. Maybe I'll make another therapy session and get more in depth on that tomorrow if I feel like it. But this has been such a good month, man. It's a blessed month. I just don't really feel down, not approaching this day. So, of course, I love my mother. Rest in peace, mommy. And hopefully I can get my life together to make her proud and continue to love the way she taught me how. So that's what I can say for that. So yeah, that's what I got, man. That is my therapy session. I'm glad you guys were able to sit through this and stick this out with me. I hope I said some things here that was halfway entertaining. My mother taught me to be accountable. And she also taught me to be defensive in regards to keeping my eyes open. Don't let nobody approach me like Will Smith approached Chris Rock. That's another thing I want to say. You just got to be more defensive. Brother like Chris Rock, I don't care if you're on a stage or not. You don't let nobody approach you with that type of demeanor. When you know you done said something disrespectful to them, don't let it happen, bro. I'm not gonna question Chris Rock's street smarts. That's kind of stupid. But I can tell you, ain't too many people that Will Smith should have been able to approach like that who are living the way I'm living. In terms of our lifestyle, I don't care if you're my friend or not. If I see your shoulders coming at me that way and I know I done pissed you off, I'm squaring up. You're not going to be able to hit me because I'm going to be evasive. I'm expecting you to. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how I was raised. So if I can kind of tie those two things together, my mother, she raised a son that would have never let you run up on me like that. If I know the energy's bad, you get in space. As soon as I see you coming like that, I'm backing up. And the security's probably going to rush the stage because they're going to understand this ain't no joke. So that was one of the reasons why I thought that thing was possibly staged as well. Because everything in me told me, Chris Rock from New York, he knew that man was coming. You know what I mean? He knew he was coming. And as he approached and you lean in like that, nah. And you raise that hand, nah. I have to believe that was staged because I have to believe Chris Rock's instincts, even though he'd been rich for a long time, his instincts had to tell him that he was not safe in that situation. And for his defensive instincts not to at least halfway kick in, I don't care where you at. You're a black dude in America. You ain't never that damn safe. I don't know. That just made me, that lended itself to me thinking this was probably staged. So, yeah, that's what I'll leave it with. BDF 44, man. Thank y'all for watching my therapy session.